Think this one through. It's not going to be it's not the first and it's not going to be the last one of these. But here you go. Should betting apps be the new big tobacco? You know where I'm going to go with this. Should betting apps, sports betting apps, it doesn't matter. Should they be the new big tobacco? Are they, the betting industry, at fault? Have they deceived you? Are they deceiving people? See, we're at a red line place again. It's really, you can try all that you would like to make this legal argument, not just a moral argument, but a legal argument as well. You can try to have it a gray area, but I'm not sure it can exist in a gray area. So it's a red line. If you become an addict, that is, you meet every definition of being an addict. We all know what that is. Everything comes apart, you're an addict. Addict in the worst kind of way. So when that happens, not if, but when it happens, does the seller, does the marketer share blame? It's not a new claim at all. But given that sports betting is being debated at the Texas legislature right now, as we speak, it will not pass. And some people would say, Jeff, that conversation you just had about betting, that's exactly why we shouldn't do it. And you certainly have every right to that position. The timing of this is interesting, and I would not be shocked if someone at the Capitol, some of your political heroes who are against a betting bill, maybe who are on the fence of a betting bill. Remember, this thing was, gas was poured on the issue when the governor of Texas about 2 weeks ago did something no other governor has done and said, you know what, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with gambling. I didn't mean it that way. He meant that if a bill passed, he was okay with it. And that is by far the most dramatic position anyone has taken. This, I think, makes you stop. And it should. I'm not dismissing it at all. And so the timing is interesting. So don't be shocked if this example, this conversation, this legal case is not used by people to say, yeah, see, there's another problem you didn't see coming. Listen to that one. DraftKings is being sued by a woman who claims her now ex-husband lost everything by becoming an addict. And she's suing because she says he blew through her and her kids' money. Blew it all. We're going to believe her. He probably did. We're going to believe her that he was an addict. She's probably right, and they lost everything. The interesting part of this is the DraftKings CEO, what he had to say about this. But here's the story, and it's tragic, and it's true. It's not going to be the last. Whether the real issue here is, when does somebody win one of these cases? In other words, you betting apps are now the new big tobacco. You tricked me. It's your fault. Now think that one through, because the ramifications once you win are the dominoes start to fall pretty quickly. Here's a report from Yahoo. It says a New Jersey father lost nearly $1 million. On a gambling addiction the man's family claims was intentionally nurtured, that's in quotations, by DraftKings, a new lawsuit claims. Lisa Di Alessandro says her husband funded his habit by maxing out her credit cards and draining the kids' savings accounts. She accuses the online sports book of having, quote, actively participated in furthering her now estranged spouse's gambling problem, coercing him into wagering, quote, exponentially higher amounts with increasing frequency until he was a full-blown addict. Okay. He began using the online platform in 2020. That year, he never gambled more than $3,775 in a single month. However, by 2023, he was completely hooked, she claims, betting as much as $125,000 a month. So, online sports betting is now legal in 39 states and the District of Columbia, not in Texas. But it's being debated and pushed and argued regularly. This is going to come up, and you know what? It probably should come up. I never think these are bad discussions, right? I mean, you should have, you're a consumer. You should always have vested interests. You should. We want to be consumers. You want options. You may even care what your lawmakers do about your options. So I think this is always a healthy argument. And I think anyone with opinions about this is not necessarily wrong. I'm probably going to disagree with a lot of you, but here we go. The claim is at one point, the man was wagering more than 4 times his $175,000 annual income. She says her husband gambled away almost $15 million on the platform between January 2020 and January 2024. He lost $942,232.32. Okay, let's assume all true. He was an addict, lost the money, they lost everything. They get divorced. The whole thing is a terrible, tragic story. It's not a one-off. There'll be more. You know that. Is there an argument to be made that if and when you get hooked on gambling, because of the way they've marketed themselves, they should pay a price? They want you to use the platform. I mean, we can insert whatever product we want, but when it comes to stuff like this, when you're an addict, it can end pretty badly, right? Should they have to pay a price? Have you been deceived? That's why I said, would betting apps become the new big tobacco? All right, I had this, just so for full disclosure, this is not a new position I'm about to take on stuff like this. And I would say this, I had this position long before I voiced commercials for DraftKings. And I think their CEO who came out, and I don't think it was tied to this lawsuit. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I think it was an earnings call. But I'll tell you what, I think he did a masterful job in the last couple of days of arguing the moral and ethical and legal position of the business. Can you get hooked? Yes. Is the product addictive? And the answer there is can be. Can. Not absolutely. Can be. Do they market to you so you'll spend more? Yes. Can and should they lose this case? Right? I mean, they want you to keep coming back. I don't know a business that doesn't want you to keep coming back. I don't know a business that doesn't want you to eat more, drink more, spend more. Yeah. Yes, you want repeat customers. Everybody does. This one sometimes ends badly. Should they lose the case? No. No. Can they pay her anything? You know, that's where a lot of people would say, well, Jeff, there's some nuance to this. I don't think so. I don't think the door can be cracked at all, because I think it would start an impossible cycle. I'm not saying the guy's not an addict. I'm not saying there won't be another addict. I'm not arguing how the tragedy of all this. We all know addicts. It doesn't end well. And you'd love for someone to have cut them off along the way. But losing a case like this, if this woman were to win, to me, it starts an impossible cycle. And I'll argue that. And by the way, I think we should all respect anyone else's opinions, because this is an awful thing, but this is going on. Well, I would love to say at the Capitol we're having healthy debate about stuff like this, but we're not, because there's nothing healthy about politics. So we can have a healthy debate. Companies have, whether it's this or cigarettes or fast food or alcohol, run down the list. They have I don't care what the company is, they have no right to knowingly deceive you. Okay? This is going to sound like a marketing professor and a capitalist, but I am. Here's the fundamental question. And this is what you have to think. I think you have to think through. This woman's lost it all. We get it. This has ended terribly. Yes, he became an addict. All of that stuff is true. But step away for a second. The fundamental question is this about all these types of products, these sinful products, these potentially really, really addictive products. Is there a difference between use and abuse? What about the users and not the abusers? Is there a difference between using a product and abusing the product? And then how much responsibility do you want to lay on a company when we abuse? There. There's your court case today, tomorrow, and 20 years from now. How much responsibility do you want to put on the company when we abuse? Not use. We abuse. I mean, should we push them to be responsible? I would argue yes. Yes. That's not the issue. The issue is, should they be punished for his abuse? And here's what I always argue about this stuff. I think it's now, the gambling thing is circling us because it's, it's present day and these companies are successful and viable and very much a part of our lives. I mean, they're part of my business, very much a part of my business. But here's what I argue. For every person that becomes an addict, okay, they are 99% of customers that don't, 99.9% of customers that don't. I mean, what number would we apply? Yes, there are some addicts. Yes, it's a tragedy. Yes, they're damaged. Yes, their family's hurt. Yes, the money is gone. But 99% of you didn't abuse and 99% of you didn't become an addict. Could you? Yeah. But the vast majority, almost all of you, aren't addicts. And you can fill in the product. Even if you said, here's another way to look at this. I just don't think this case can go unless you can prove that they just knowingly started sucking money out of the guy's account. I don't think they could lose. And I don't think it would be right to lose. It would be impossible. It'd be impossible to manage the marketplace if they lost. Even if you said, think of it this way, even if you said, 10% of the customers become an addict. Can you punish the company for that? Now, I'm stretching that. I'm making that up. I don't think that's true at all. But just to make my argument, even if you could push it to say 5 or 10% of the addicts, or customers become addicts, would you punish the company for that?
Hey Austin, Jeff Ward here, and I never thought I'd be in an accident and need a personal injury attorney. And then sure enough, less than a mile from my house, I was blindsided. I was injured. My world was turned completely upside down. I called DJC Law and their team took care of everything. I got the best result possible. Don't just take my word for it. They have over 1,000 five-star reviews. So if you're injured, call 512-888-9999 and get your justice at teamjustice.com.